Hello, welcome to the Special Moves podcast. This is episode 115. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Kulkowski and Liam McKelvey. Good morning. Liam having a bit of morning coffee there. Liam having a bit of morning coffee, and me.
It almost seems a bit suspicious, the fact that you've said good morning like a couple of times. And, you know, for anyone who's listening to the audio version, it is morning.
I'm a suspicious guy. I remember once saying, my name's Mike Williams, and that became a fucking meme about no one believing it was actually me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. Yeah, when you say good morning, I always thought there's some sort of irony to it. But no, it really is morning. And it is a good morning. Sunday, the day of our Lord, 2021. And what a week it's been. Gaming news kind of creeping up and creeping out now. I think it's the first week we've had this year where there's been some pleasant news regarding video game releases and stuff. Yep. So that's been a nice change.
Not bad, given that it's only the second week of the year. So that's okay, isn't it? That's not.
Oh my God! Bad, is it really only 2 weeks into the year? I feel like we're in March already. In my head.
Is this the third week? Are we in the third week?
We're in the second full week. Well, we have. Let me confirm. The week that Jake was just talking about as being a week of good news was the second full week of the whole year.
Yeah, we're on the precipice of week.
I forget we do this on a Sunday. I don't know what days are anymore. I've been in the house that long, but you know, video games keep me happy.
You know, I was watching TV yesterday. I was watching a show about barbecue, and it made me sad that I can't go and eat food outside of my own house.
Yeah.
Just when it hits you the most. Well, I say it's hit someone like me the most, anyway.
The trips to Aldi aren't enough for getting out of the house.
That's what I mean. I can't get brisket from Aldi. Well, maybe I can.
You probably can.
Aldi, every day amazing. Thanks again.
Emotional stories like that. You'll be on fucking Good Morning Britain before you know it, mate. You'll be telling the nation about your plight. Jake on the line. He can't get some brisket.
Yeah. So as you can tell, I'm having a great year so far. But there's been quite a lot going on. And I've been playing a game that I can't talk about, so I haven't got anything for this week. So
yeah.
Maybe next week.
Tune in next week, everyone. We've had a lot of emails this week. Actually, we've had a ton of emails coming in, which is always good. It kind of surprises me every time it happens. You know, we always have a handful. We always have a good handful in, and then I always wonder what has happened to make there be so many in the inbox. But this is a week where there's just been an absolute ton. So we'll try and get through a bit more, maybe a bit more than usual this week. It depends.
Yeah.
See what we can squeeze in. But thanks everyone for keeping your emails coming in. It's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. We've just done a bonus podcast as well if you're a Patreon supporter. So jump on the Patreon page and you can catch up with that, which I can't remember what we talked about. Was it? We did actually talk about movies this time, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a bit of Fargo season 4, bit of I forgot
Lord of the Rings. Bit of Lord of the Rings.
You can't go wrong with the Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we talked about Soul as well. I think Wonder Woman was in there.
Yeah,
there was a bit of everything.
There we go.
Look at the fond memories coming back to us there. You two can experience that yourselves by watching and listening to the bonus podcast. I mean, I played some stuff this week. I kept playing Battlefield 5, which I'm really enjoying on PS5. Just like knocked up the FOV slider, and it's, you know, the frame rate is really good and it looks pretty sharp, and it's a really nice kind of multiplayer experience. And it's the only downside about having Battlefield 5 on your PS5 is that it is fucking huge.
It is big.
A lot of shooting games at the moment. You have to essentially choose which shooting game you want.
Exactly. Yeah, I had to get rid of Cyberpunk to make space for this, regressively. So
that's some of the the games that are on PC but haven't had their next gen updates, like Cyberpunk. They're massive on console, but on PC they're 50 gig. The incomplete Cyberpunk on PC is 50 gig to download and install, but it's isn't it 80, 90 on PS4?
30 gigs of bugs.
Yeah, you got to get all them bugs in there. You got to fit them in somewhere, man.
It's all that texture compression and whatever Mark Cerny was going on about.
That's funny. That is funny. But I think, didn't you mention this before, Liam, about because the hard drivers or whatever the storage technology is in the last gen consoles, to kind of compensate for that, they kind of like unpack everything.
Yeah,
and,
they like
they spread things out. I guess
there's a lot of duplicates to make loading things easier.
Yeah,
so that's why like things get bloated, because they just duplicate files to make it easier to locate and load them all in.
Yeah, and then so all of a sudden, Destiny 2 gets an update, and they've trimmed out planets and things like that, but it's the next gen version of Destiny 2 is all of a sudden a lot smaller, and
it's like 40% smaller.
Yeah,
which is quite crazy, really. But a lot of that we were kind of anticipating that when we spoke about it months ago. What is it going to be making games smaller? Surely they can't get even bigger than Call of Duty, whatever. But yeah, so. It's actually happening, and it's like it was in the news this week that Hitman 3, all like Hitman 1 and 2 in the Hitman 2 engine was like 100 gig plus.
Yeah.
But now Hitman 1, 2, and 3 in the Hitman 3 engine is only 80 gig. So somehow they managed to add a whole game for 30 gig less.
Yeah.
With better graphics and all this. So it's I guess we'll see a lot more stories like that, but and
of course, Jake, as you kind of cleverly highlighted there, when you patch out the bugs as well, you get rid of
that's
all
it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But bugs are notably massive files, 500 megabyte, but this and that. So yeah.
Stay tuned to Special Moves for more technological insights like that.
Absolutely.
So, Liam, what have you been playing this week, mate? You been playing any games?
I have done a sort of buffet of games this week. I've had a bit of everything. The all you can eat of gaming this week. So
nice.
Finally happened after 7 years. Scott Pilgrim came back, and like the sucker I am, I bought it on PS4 and Switch, or PS5 even. One for the big screen telly, one for on the go. Even though I know the Switch docks to a telly, so that defeats the entire point.
And you can't go anywhere because it's locked down.
Yeah, so that defeats the entire point of my argument. But I like this game so much. And it's just nice to have it back. I've spoke about it like loads before, like years in the past I've spoke about this game. But yeah, it's the exact same game it was back then, just it's had a bit of a clean up. Like it says it's PS4 Pro enhanced. I'm not sure what there is to enhance, because it runs at 640 by 480 because of all the pixel art. So I don't know, just some really good looking pixels, I guess. But, and it runs great on the Switch as well. It's perfect 60 frames per second. It's got all the DLC from they only had 2 DLC packs anyway. One which added Knives Chow as a playable character, the other one added Wallace Wells as a playable character, and an online mode, and it's a beach volleyball game mode. It's kind of do you remember Tekken Ball?
Yeah.
From Tekken 3. It's kind of like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's it's exactly the same as it was, just you can buy it again. Apart from the online mode is actually busted on PC, from what people have been saying. Maybe on console as well, I'm not sure, I haven't tried it. But if I remember right, it was busted back when they added online co-op in to the original version anyway. So
I watched 2 streamers playing it, and it was the squad stream thing where you can see both their screens, and they were fighting against a boss, and one of them had beaten the boss, and it came up saying, "Congratulations, you win," and it's there. And then on the other person's screen, that player who had on their screen beaten the game was dead, and could be resurrected by the other player. So one of them had won, and the other one was still fighting the boss for some literally 3 minutes or something like that. So it wasn't just a little bit of lag; it was a whole fight had desynced, complete desync.
The online really is not great in it. But kind of, it is built for couch co-op, but you can't do couch co-op at the minute because no one's allowed to visit each other. So
remember sofas.
Yeah, sofas. But yeah, it's good. It has weirdly got a few new bugs in it as well. I've had 2 hard crashes of the game where it's just locked up, and then the PS5's been oh, you've had an error. And then I've had there's been invisible enemies who get stuck in the walls, and then it won't let you, because it's an old school beat 'em up, it won't let you progress the level until you find that enemy. And if you're lucky enough to hit them, you can just move on. But if you can't find them or you can't hit them, you've got to start the entire level again because they got stuck in a wall or you can't actually see them. So
that sounds like a very kind of N64 I can kind of distinctly remember someone being stuck in a wall in GoldenEye and shit like that, and like an enemy just disappearing into the wall. It was like an old-fashioned kind of bug.
And because it's an old school style game, there's no checkpoints or anything. Perfect. It's straight back to the beginning of the level. But yeah, it's like it is fun. Like it was nice for a little nostalgia boost. I'm still playing it on PS4, like getting picking up trophies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you can finish it in for a first time playthrough, it's probably 3-4 hours to get through it. But it's very easy to, if you know what you're doing, it's very easy to break the game and become stupidly overpowered by the second level.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting that you said was, very past tense there, because you have beaten it.
Yeah.
On both platforms by now, I guess, right?
Yeah. I've played through the PS4 version twice now. Once as Scott, once as Knives, and then I played through the Switch version as Ramona, and just because I was abusing the economy in the game and the stat boosts on the Switch version. Yeah. So by literally the third level, I was an unstoppable killing machine. As super powered Ramona just battered everyone with a hammer, quite literally. But yeah, it's good, it's fun, and it's cheap as well. It's $11.99 on everything.
Oh, that's right.
It's hopefully it's that nice sort of price range where someone might come across it on the store and go, "Oh, Scott Pilgrim, I like that movie," or "I like that comic book. I didn't know there was a game," and then they just try out the game because it's $11.99. It's not a lot for a good 4 or 5 hours of fun. Yeah, I'd recommend it on anything because it's on pretty much everything.
Bit of a cult classic, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
So good one to experience, especially if you like that kind of kind of game. The movie does kind of pop up every now and then on Netflix and shit like that, doesn't it?
It's having a bit of a resurgence, the movie, because of Netflix. Yeah, it's it was meant to have a limited re-release in Dolby cinemas last year.
Remember cinema?
But that got cancelled. It's meant to be getting a 4K re-release or something like that. It's it was the 10th anniversary last year, I think. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. Jake's going to be doing the opening narration for the Division 3 at this rate, and he's going to be first coffee.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen everyone predicting how the Division predicted the future?
No.
Because the first one was a deadly pandemic that got swept under the rug until it was too late. And then the second one literally starts with an invasion of the US Capitol.
The Capitol. Yeah, I nearly mentioned that, but I thought I didn't want to say remember the Capitol, but yeah, exactly that. I remember that they had to apologize for their promo of do you want to see a real government shutdown or something like that? That's how I saw this news story come back in the light. That was part of their Division 2 promo at the time.
Before
Do you want to see a real shutdown? Buy our game.
Discounted now. Just told you so.
I saw someone said, this is completely nothing to do with games, but it was pretty funny. Someone said, the movie Contagion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The problem is at this stage of our pandemic that the Contagion is now an uplifting story about an efficient vaccine rollout. Because it's better than what's actually fucking
sadly is. Yeah. So I guess the segue here is that the Division 2 developers are working on something pretty special.
So that was a huge bit of exciting news this week, wasn't it? The Star Wars license, I guess. I don't know if that's exactly the right kind of wording, but the other studios other games companies other than EA are now allowed to, or will be very soon allowed to, make Star Wars games, which is something that, if you're a Star Wars fan over the last 10 years, it's been
a rough decade for you guys.
Frustrating, I guess, is the word. Yeah, it's frustrating, I think, is the word, because you kind of, it's such an obvious potential to have great, and there could be no losers. People, EA, whoever wants to make Star Wars games would make a load of money, and there's loads of people who want to play cool Star Wars games, and yet you haven't really had it, and until I probably would say Jedi Fallen Order, you didn't have anything. It didn't feel like you had anything except Star Wars Battlefront. which was the same game twice. That's all. That's all you've had, and that game was a kind of a version of an older game, and except with that EA DICE kind of
a beloved older game that had been somewhat morphed.
A great recipe. Yeah, DICE and Star Wars Battlefront. Perfect. Yeah. That's a great recipe. But that's kind of all you've had, and that out of the gate was a kind of a disappointment.
Now, pretty fantastic. And if you caught it, maybe you'd never played. I have a feeling a lot of people will be getting into that now because of it was free on the Epic Store, wasn't it? I think for one day this week. So some people are in for a treat, I reckon, because especially when you look at all the reviews on launch and how it was received, it was pretty shite, wasn't it? But now it's kind of redeemed itself, I dare say.
Well, it's free on the Epic Store until the 21st of January.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. So if you're listening to this, go and get it because the 21st is, I think, the Thursday. So
yeah.
I mean,
so
there was
a lot of things
Squadrons
happening
as well, but everyone sort of forgot about it.
Squadrons.
Yeah, it just sort of came and went.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So Squadrons was the last one, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So which is fucking recent, and until Jedi Fallen Order, which came out just kind of before Squadrons, all we had was
Battlefront.
Was Battlefront and some mobile app or whatever. Mm-hmm. So then you kind of had Squadrons, which
it's like the equivalent of what Star Wars Pod Racer on the N64, isn't it? Really. So what we now need is an equivalent of Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we can get somebody to give it to us who isn't EA, right?
I think, and the idea, and so this has all come from the segue that Jake made there, was that the Massive Entertainment, or whatever, is that they call Massive Entertainment?
I think they're Massive Entertainment,
so they're kind of a Ubisoft associated studio. They made The Division, and I like The Division. I think they got a good knack for making a world feel like a real place, really full of detail and stuff. It's kind of making an open world without making I don't know, without making it feel like a playground somehow. In both the Divisions, I've kind of felt, you're walking down the street, you feel like you're kind of walking down the street and you've got like a job to do. I don't know, they got a good knack for designing an open world. So the thought that they could, make a Star Wars game is actually, it wouldn't be the first thing I'd think of, and it wouldn't be the top of my list, but could be cool. Could be really cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see somebody do that, and it might light a fire under EA's arse, really, because they asked, because that's the thing that everybody was wondering when that was announced. EA's still going to be making them, or is that completely, what happened there? And then EA have since confirmed that we will still be, but now they haven't got a monopoly, have they? So people might be like, oh, the Ubisoft games are way better than the EA games or whatever. But I wonder just how open this kind of license is for other development studios to maybe pitch work, because I'm sure there'd be some, people would love to see some sort of I don't know, Resident Evil engine Star Wars game, like a Platinum Games Star Wars game. There's so many people that have brought up studios that could do something interesting.
I think that Sony first party kind of, staple, that kind of bunch of studios that they've got that make essentially third person action adventure or open world games. Any one of them, the God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, any of those kind of studios, I'd love to see picking it up and doing something with it.
Uncharted in space. I'd hand it to Naughty Dog easy. Yeah, I reckon they'd do it.
Well, I don't know.
Feel the fur of the Wookiee's neck.
You're going to
choke. You have to kill your favorite companion.
It's gonna be that scene in Attack of the Clones where Anakin
goes and kills the kids. I just said,
when he kills the sand people, and then he goes and kills all the kids in the next movie. It's gonna be that's what the Naughty Dog one.
Yeah,
but I'd fucking I'd play it, wouldn't I, straight away. So I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that. It feels like a long time coming, and I kind of hope though that a Knights of the Old Republic, something Knights of the Old Republic is already in the works. And to be honest, more than anything else, I would love a remake of it. And I know that's a stupid, people get criticised a lot for you see the same things. Like studios play it safe. You get It's like that mass appeal type of thing, and all the audience ever wants is the same thing again and again, and they want the same kind of. But that's how I feel about Knights of the Old Republic. Like all I want is to play that again, but better. I want to play the Demon Souls remake version of Knights of the Old Republic 2, and I don't care. I mean, I don't need to get. I don't want to sneak around as Gollum. Give me the same shit.
Part of me feels like Microsoft have got that one in the bag. You know, like the meme of the guy rubbing his hands together as he comes from behind the tree. I feel like that's Phil Spencer as soon as he heard the news that the Star Wars license is open. Because he's got Obsidian on Obsidian or is like
Obsidian are the right people for this, aren't they?
Yeah. It's like I reckon Microsoft will come out swinging with a pitch for something Star Wars related, and it's not just Star Wars though, is it?
Wow, he's done it. Yeah, so Microsoft-owned studio Bethesda announced this week that they're doing like Indiana Jones tie-in, which was a very Sekiro Shadows Die Twice trailer, a close-up of some beige-looking paper and a weapon. In this case, it's a whip. What type of game is it going to be? Todd Howard's doing what to it, etc., etc. They're just some suggestions for the YouTube thumbnails for any channels that are listening. But Todd Howard is executive producing it, but I don't know how much of a grasp he has on the game. I don't know what type of game it's going to be. None of us do, and we have no idea. Like, little silly questions that people would probably want to know. Like, is it going to be third person? And if so, is Indiana Jones' likeness going to be akin to Harrison Ford? Things like this matter to the fans big time, right? Even though if you're not a fan, you don't give a shit. So it's little things like that. Is it going to be like the Avengers where you've kind of got like, Robert Downey Sr. and all this lot, do you know what I mean? I'm just, there's quite a lot of questions. Now, I've got to admit, I have not really watched any of the Indiana Jones films, bar 2. I've seen the last.
There are only 3.
Oh, are there? Okay,
well,
I saw.
But the 4th one is not.
Oh, well, that's okay then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't speak of that one.
I watched the one where he goes for that, in it, like the Golden Chalice thing, whatever it's called, the Last Crusade.
That's all of them. That's 4.
that's the very
the Last Crusade, I think.
Yeah.
With Sean Connery.
And then I watched. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's Last Crusade.
His dad.
Yeah, that's great.
That was the one I watched first, and then I watched the one, the Temple of Doom. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you haven't seen Raiders? You haven't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No, I don't think so. I did. Now, I've got to tell you something.
Prime.
This is something that I have really fond memories of, and I don't know what it was, but I didn't own an original Xbox for a while, but one of my best friends did growing up, right? So I played Halo there, and I played this game called Amped, which was like a snowboarding game.
Oh yeah,
but he had this Indiana Jones game, and the graphics were at the time phenomenal. I remember, and it was really good. It felt really, really, really good. Like and you could literally like whip guns out of people's hands, and it was kind of stealth focused.
I remember that one.
I was going to say I don't know.
It's like
if the game was
the Emperor's Tomb or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I remember it being like, I don't think it was based on a specific film, and it was really good, and I had really good like memories of that game, and so I wonder if, I wonder how they're going to do it, because Tomb Raider is a bit Indiana Jones, isn't it? The idea. I mean, so is Uncharted in a way. Mm-hmm. So this is like the kind of,
Uncharted, it unequivocally is essentially the video game Indiana Jones, isn't
So now that there is a video game Indiana Jones, but it has to, so it's already got that kind of the prestige of being the inspiration for lots of very popular games, but it's got to kind of stand up against these very popular games all of a sudden, who have had loads of time to refine the series. Like, people love the Uncharted series, and
yeah. Well, I can see it working. I kind of like Wolfenstein had a certain openness to it, I guess.
So that's who's developing it. Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, and it's the Wolfenstein devs, isn't it? Machine Games, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they're just linear, first-person shooters, but they had this, like a linking level bit in between with some of them, and I think that was the most. Was it? I can't remember which one.
The New
called
Colossus.
I can't remember which one is.
There was that like kind of spin-off thing that they did called
there's 4 of them they've done. There was Wolfenstein New Order, Wolfenstein The Old Blood, Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, and then Wolfenstein: Youngblood.
Yeah, and then so then two of them are kind of smaller experiences.
Yeah,
the ones with blood in the title. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. And then, but then New Colossus kind of had like this, I can't remember what it was. It was like a submarine or something. And so you had like a little base in the middle. It was just like story exposition in between the levels. But it is, so Wolfenstein is very like cinematic in the sense that there's a lot of bits where you don't control the game and you watch as your friends get killed by Nazis and things like that. And it does kind of like grab your eyes and make you look at
shoot a dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Famous opening.
So they do this like kind of this video gamey storytelling. But if it had like you can see that working. You can see that fitting with like an Indiana Jones type of thing, where it doesn't. You're just there for the ride, like Uncharted. You're along for the ride.
And I think that Bethesda do have a couple of studios there, so I guess they just found the right fit. So what I'm saying, it wasn't just like they were kind of forced to do it, or Bethesda didn't have other options. I'm sure like the other internal studios would have probably like pitched it. Everyone would probably want to work on a game like that, but it just seems that so there must be quite a good idea to start it, to be fair. But it just seems like a really weird thing that there's another movie license tie-in game, like with IO announcing about the James Bond thing and stuff like that. This isn't like back when we were growing up, when game development times were very short and like you could pump out Chicken Run in 6 months. This is like, this Indiana Jones game will be in the works for, assumedly like years. So therefore it can't really coincide with the release of a specific film, which is what the games were made of, weren't they? The games were like supplementary material or adaptations of hit films with bits of the. I'm not really sure what's happening. If you were going to speculate and be a pundit about it, you'd say, is it because the movie industry is in a bit of shit because of the pandemic and they can get some money by licensing out the IP to game developers because this is an industry that is, if anything, thriving in the pandemic? I don't know, but
you get that, like Spider-Man is nothing to do with Into the Spider-Verse or the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, but then they kind of arrive. It just feels like in the same era.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're enjoying the Tom Holland Spider-Man films and you're enjoying Into the Spider-Verse, then you've got Miles Morales, which is a great kind of Spider-Verse. If you've watched the movie and you want a bit more Spider-Man action, Miles Morales, and you've got that, and you've also got the other Spider-Man. So they're not movie tie-in games at all, but they still kind of give you the same experience that you want if you're a kid and you've watched the film and you want to spend more time doing it. Being in that world, then you've got the game as well. So it could be that kind of thing, where you've got, because there is when is the Indiana Jones movie? Well, it was.
Oh, I think it's stuck in development hell. I think at the minute.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it meant to be Chris Pratt was taking over or something like that?
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone's heard anything about. Yeah. Like if that's moving forward or not anymore.
Harrison Ford was meant to be involved as well, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's it, yeah. But it's just, it seems not weird, but I don't know. Out of all the IP, I don't think people would have seen that coming. If you were to get someone to place their bets around Christmas time, which famous IPs, it just seems.
My last wish, get the Ubisoft team, whoever made Rainbow Six Siege, get them making Republic Commando 2.
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be cool. I'm excited about the Star Wars stuff. I'm really, my ultimate thing would be From Software just doing a really weird fucking Star Wars Sith game set on one planet or something, except with lightsabers instead of katanas.
So basically Fallen Order, but like
it's not basically Fallen Order. No, it's not. You fucking said this before. It's not like Dark Souls. It's not like Dark Souls.
Oh, okay. It
has a bit of Dark Souls, ingredients.
Yeah.
But it's
just NPCs.
But Fallen Order. Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see. I think this is one for the comment section, isn't it? Give us the wish list. Go on. Deeper cuts the better, please. But see who you can find. Would you like to see a Star Wars fucking, I don't know, Total War game or something? Just tell us. That's what I want to see. I want to see some weird shit that makes me go, oh yeah. The Project Gotham Racing devs making the Pod Racer sequel. Oh, go on then. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine it was a Star Wars racing game though, and it wasn't pod racers. then it's getting into like.
It was like, you know what
racing.
what are them stupid things from the fucking last one? Then when it was on that like Casino Planet.
Oh, the horse things.
Them horse things, and get that. Make a full AAA. Go on.
Yeah, forget it.
An indie game that follows the story of that Crystal Fox from Last Jedi.
That's it. Yeah, a journey. Of course, his whole family's died. You know, get it done. Never alone, basically. Yeah. Now that's a tie-in game. Yeah. So let's hear it, please.
All right. Let's read some emails out then. Remember, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, if you want to send us an email, the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. That's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Send us your stories, questions, opinions, experiences playing games. If you disagree or agree with anything we've said, or you've got an amazing idea for a Star Wars game, tell us. This one is... Which one should we do first? Oh, we were talking about this before we started recording, and this is something that we should probably have a bit of a chat about. So this email is from Chris. Chris says this: Dear Special Moves, I'm writing to express much love to the tripartite or tripartite, or however I've never read that word before in my life. So I am writing to express much love to the tripartite. I'm going to go with that, but if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please tell me.
Is that No Man's Sky mineral?
Yeah, you need it for engines. I have listened to you guys every week for about 18 months and adore the podcast. I wait patiently every week to listen to the great banter, informative insights, and chilledness.
Oh,
okay. I sold
banter and chilledness. Get that on a t-shirt.
And insight. I sold my 2070 Super about 3 weeks. So this is about graphics cards. 3 weeks before the 3000 series release, and have had to borrow a 2 gigabyte 770 card off a Unimate to get me through. I'm seriously annoyed with Nvidia and AMD for their lack of ability to provide cards to us power fiends. I've been playing Nier Automata, which is absolutely unreal, so I guess I can't complain. But as for being able to play anything graphically demanding, it looks like I'm going to be waiting for quite some time. Thanks for providing such a great podcast. I'm a massive fan, and tell most people I meet about it. Best regards, Chris.
Oh,
I wouldn't do that, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, that's yeah.
Hey,
girl, you like podcasts? I love that first date material. I think this is interesting to hear PC people talking about console people woes at the moment, where people just can't.
Everyone's in the same boat. That's a good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's people on my Twitter who still haven't got a PS5, and I'm like, oh man, like it should be easier than this now. We're some months on, but so yeah, there's I guess it's a worldwide shortage, right? Because I'm not sure if it's just like UK or Europe or what.
It's a combination of loads of different things, like because everyone's stuck at home. There's like unprecedented demand for entertainment and hardware, so people can stay at home and keep themselves occupied. Like one thing is like I think like PS5s, Xboxes, and graphics cards are all being made by like the same semiconductor company who like print the actual chips, and like they're at like max capacity and literally can't make. They don't have any more room to actually make. And anything.
Working under like global pandemic conditions.
Yeah.
Right. The reason that everyone's in this mess, they're still having to produce things at like stupid numbers during this, so there's that to consider.
Like, they can't produce on a scale that they normally do because they have to like take into account keeping their staff safe and everything. And it's just like, and there's so many new things that are coming out at the same time. Like there's loads of new phones coming out in the next few months, and then whenever that happens, like the price of RAM always goes up because all the mobile manufacturers try and get the RAM for their phones, so that makes the price of even PC RAM go up. Because it's literally like, just it's in demand, so they can charge whatever they want, whatever they feel they want for it, and people will pay it. Though that's the thing, it's a sad thing. But like, it's like I've been trying to get my hands on a 3070, and I've seen a few of them come back in stock, but the markups the retailers are putting on them is stupid. Like recommended retail price here in the UK for a 3070. Like direct from Nvidia is like £469, so £469. But like the markups And you can usually expect to pay like about £100 more if you get like an MSI one or a Gigabyte one or an Asus one, because they like do their own custom designs and put like coolers and stuff on them and like overclock them at the factory and stuff like that. And it's usually like £100-150 more. Like at the minute, a 3070 on eBay, they're going for like just under £1,000 from like scalpers. Or if you can actually luckily enough to get one from a retailer, they're still about 200 quid over recommended retail, and people are buying them. Like as soon as they go up, they go out of stock like within 5 minutes. And it's like the one 3070 I saw come back in stock was like £750, but a 3080 is £650 if you can get it from a retailer. So it's just like the markups, just because of the demand, is insane. And then there's like cryptocurrency is all kicking off again. So loads of people are buying graphics cards to like start doing Bitcoin mining and shite like that again.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen that Bitcoin has gone up loads.
Yeah.
Loads and loads. And then, so if you're not really well versed in this or know anything about it, basically, you mine it with your graphics card.
Yeah.
Sounds weird. Sounds like a game.
From what I read, that's like the least efficient way to do it. But it's just like, it's the most easily accessible way, I think. It's like
if anyone listening is an avid crypto dealer, you don't need to tell us. We do appreciate it, though. But you don't need to tell us, all right? Because whenever you get this online, there's always a sort of Ethereum apologists down below, or somebody saying, "Oh, that's a great read." It's like an Avon thing. Everyone wants to get everyone else into it.
But the thing is, like,
so if Liam was maybe a bit, factually incorrect there, you don't need to correct us. It's all
I
right
don't
for this
care.
one.
I don't fucking care. But it's like, it's even like old graphics cards. You can't buy them because they've all been discontinued officially. And all the retailers are sold out their stock of like 2070s and stuff. But they're going on eBay for like double what they actually are worth. And that's like ones that have been used and abused, and you don't know if you put it in your computer, it might explode as soon as you turn it on.
It does. Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a mess, isn't it? And it kind of makes you wonder a little bit as well. Like, if would they be better off just kind of like pumping out one of the cards and just being like, listen, we're doing the 3070. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's the annoying thing as well, because like all the third-party manufacturers have like 7 different versions of each card.
That's it. Yeah,
like
that's it.
I think like just Asus have got the Asus Dual, the Asus ROG Strix, the Asus Tough Gaming Edition. I was just like,
nice.
Why didn't you just make one? Oh, and it's Tough TUF as well. That's how they spell it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good.
But like
Tough Gaming.
Like Gigabyte have got Gigabyte Gaming, Gigabyte Wind Force, Gigabyte Eagle Overclocked Edition. It's just like, and then
I'm just kind of think surely maybe that is causing issues in the if they can they can only produce a certain amount of these cards because they need a fucking diode. That's the only, but they only need it in that one. But if they just kind of, I don't know, just consolidated a little bit and just was
funnily
graphics
enough,
card socialism now.
Funnily enough, the only Gigabyte
Chris.
one I've ever seen come back in stock is the absolute top end one that's 750 quid, and for whatever the fuck reason, it's got an OLED screen on the side of it. That's literally the only one I've ever seen.
So you can code in. So you can.
As far as I can tell, you can either have it display the temperature of your graphics card, or you can literally like have a GIF looping on it.
Could I write Tough Gamer on it?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. It's so you can watch Digital Foundry while you're installing it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mess. But apparently, they've been rumors are it's meant to stabilize around February, March because they'll be able to catch up to demand. But who knows if that'll hold true?
So it's not a good time for.
No, it's not a good
buying
time.
Hardware. It's not a good time, full stop, is it? To be honest, so I guess that's what's got us into this whole mess. But the point is that it's everywhere. No matter what you're into at the moment, if it involves like some sort of hardware, it's hard to get hold of. Like music equipment is the same because so many people have taken up playing guitar or whatever, or trying new hobbies. But a lot of this sort of stuff is just, it's. I guess it's gonna level out soon. But I was surprised that. that it was hitting PC as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed in my head more options available means there's less.
Yeah.
It's like it's again just because there's so many like new products as well. Like Nvidia have got 3050, they've got a 3060, a 3060 Ti, 3070, 3080, 3090. They're coming out with a 3080 Ti apparently, and then AMD have got like they've got their 3 different graphics cards, and then they've got like their 7 new CPUs that they've just brought out. So it's just like it's just not enough to go around.
Too much stuff, isn't there? Too much clutter. Mary Kondo needs to fucking...
She needs to sort out the tech industry.
Get into the factory and be like, does the fucking windfall really bring you joy?
Yeah.
Or, tough gamer. Yeah. Well, nice one, Chris.
Too much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder as well what the impact of, like fucking Henry Cavill doing his like... doing I'm a PC gamer video. Do you know what I mean? Chads like that, fucking, and the Special Moves podcast, of course, as well. Do you know what I mean? Chads like us.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved watching that video though, and still seeing people in the comments telling him he's installing his fan wrong.
Yeah,
No matter what, PC Master Race doesn't discriminate. They will call anyone out on their improper PC building techniques.
Nice abs, you fucking dickhead. Yeah, Crypto Lord 84.
Okay, let's do another email. We do have a lot. Which one should we do? Have we talked about Cyberpunk in this podcast yet?
We've mentioned that it had the additional bugs.
Yeah.
That's right.
We made some sly little references to some Twitter shitposting that happened over the weekend.
Let's use this email to get into it then, because we wouldn't be a gaming podcast without mentioning Cyberpunk 2077, would we? So this email...
I thought you meant without mentioning Cyberpunk 2077 times. That's what I thought you were doing.
Yeah, close enough. All right, so this email is from James in York, the old one. James says, "Dear Special Moves, after finishing Cyberpunk 2077's story this past week, I felt compelled to write in. In spite of the many, so many bugs and crashes, I did thoroughly enjoy my 45 or so hours with the game. That is, with one reservation: the ending." Okay, so there's not any specific spoilers in this email. I've deleted absolutely everything that I can think of that would possibly give things away. But Cyberpunk is a game with loads of different endings, right? So, and James is just writing about his experience with his ending, and I do have to kind of mention a little bit about the relationship between the characters at the end in order to get to his point. So if you are extremely, extremely sensitive about Cyberpunk 2077 spoilers, I would skip ahead about a minute. But I mean, it's not that much of a spoiler, really.
No, it's not.
So here we go. The ending I received was oddly judgmental. I was accused multiple times of having betrayed Johnny Silverhand and implicitly my friends and my principles. Evidently, the principles I supposedly betrayed were not mine, but those of the writers. I was supposed to agree with Johnny. I was supposed to hate Arasaka. In the end, my V was never really mine, at least not one that the game approved of. Why, I have to ask, present the player with 2 choices if only one is deemed valid? That isn't a choice. Too often in RPGs that tout narrative agency, we see a binary division between what the writers consider good and bad, with games such as Mass Effect even going so far as to physically deform the bad character path. Going forward, I would like to see more games present branching narratives in a neutral manner that doesn't fall into simplistic moralizing. Maybe I want to crush the rebellion and restore order to the galaxy, and maybe I consider that to be good. All the best, James in York. So James is a tyrant.
I was going to say, James is a tyrant, and he's trying to put it diplomatically. Yeah.
But the point is interesting because
it's valid, right? Why not? Why can't you be a prick if the game says you can be a prick if you want? But why does
then when you're a prick, the game goes, you're being a prick. And I kind of I think what's interesting about the point there is, to me, is just the illusion that you have any say in it at all. And not along moral lines, just about what actually happens, just what actually happens in the game you know, a lot of the time is, you know, as probably most famously seen with Mass Effect 3, you had a trilogy of games building up, you know, exponentially opening up wider and wider the further you got into the trilogy until you reached the end, when it just boiled down to what color light came out of the big space cannon thing at the end. Was it a blue light or a red light or a green light or whatever it was? And then that's what all your choices kind of came to at the end.
Yeah. What a trilogy. Yeah, what a trilogy.
Actually, you know, and then so with Cyberpunk, you know, Cyberpunk is meant to be is based on a role playing game, isn't it? On like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of
a real tabletop. Yeah,
absolutely. Be whoever you want to be kind of game. And then that was my first most immediate issue with it was, okay, cool, I can be whoever I want, except I'm stuck with the voice of a complete fucking douchebag right from the get-go. That's not who I am.
Yeah,
hey, I'm fucking
that's what I didn't like. Yeah, it was very clear, and we mentioned this, but in the dialogue options were arsehole, bigger arsehole, silence. That was it. It was like, hey, I'm not doing that. Hey, fuck you, man, or say nothing. But why can't you have the like, yeah, sure, mate. You know what I mean? Where's complacent British?
You're right, man. I want that.
Why can't James just sit in his fucking Arasaka penthouse at the end of the game, drinking his Cyber Whiskey 2077? Like, I'm at peace with myself. I was a bad bastard, but I don't care.
Because the elusive man from Mass Effect 2. and he's happy, you know, and that. But the thing is that the game kind of, or the promise of the game was that that's what you could have, that you could kind of have that you know, choose which character you want to be. And then that's where, you know, something like, you know, Skyrim or the kind of those Bethesda open world stuff and Divinity Original Sin and those kind of the more core like role playing, you know, video games, they could get it totally right, and they probably don't get as much. Yeah, that's forgotten. I think why do people love Skyrim so much is because you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can really walk into a cave, shoot someone in the back of the head and rob them, or you can walk into the cave and realize that you can have a conversation with that person and open up a whole other quest line, and that quest could go a couple of ways. Like that's what is missing from
something
like, you know,
there was this like Fable injected this like moral compass into it where if you're bad you become physically deformed and people, you know, say that you're disgusting and to stay away from them because, you know, what you've done, you slaughtered 8 children and ate some chickens alive, like, you know. But that's great the first time it happens, isn't it?
You're an evil bastard. He's just devouring chickens.
Can you remember? That's how you do it, isn't it? You get bad points by eating chicks. Like Ozzy Osbourne and these chickens' heads off. Like,
yeah, you play Fable like Ozzy Osbourne. You start to look like Ozzy Osbourne.
Exactly. And then people say you're an ugly freak. You're mean. Go away. And that's fine. You can't have it both ways, James, in that case, because that's the world of Fable. And I'm sure you can understand that. Then when it comes to every game doing that, like, why can't you be like the real evil in the world and be a total sociopath, but everybody thinks you're nice or whatever? Do you know what I mean? That sounds
Cyberpunk, that makes sense.
Exactly. A corporate sociopath, yeah.
With Cyberpunk, though, it was like, literally there is no... Apart from just the occasional bit of dialogue where someone will be like, oh, you arsehole, why did you do that?
Right.
Like, you can just walk around the city, massacring civilians if you want. No one gives a shit. It doesn't affect the game in any way. Like, you'll get a wanted level, all you gotta do is run 5 feet and the police disappear. So,
which is why I guess in the ending, right? It's because he had a decision at the ending and he's obviously...
Like, someone worked it out where... I think it's 92% of the dialogue choices in Cyberpunk have no effect on the game whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then literally, like, I know what you mean, like the ending is literally decided by, like, before you go on the final mission, there's like a bunch of, it is literally just dialogue choice, like very cryptic and vague references to dialogue choices where it's very unclear about what you're actually clicking and what's going to happen. It's just like, and so like you could think you've done something completely reasonable, but then according to the game, it's like, nope, like you were a bad bastard. Whereas all the dialogue is just like, you might think, well, that's the logical thing to do, but then the game's like, no, you're evil, get the fuck out of here.
It's there's the best example in ages and ages and ages and ages of this, in my opinion, is in Disco Elysium, because your party is in your brain, so only you can hear your internal thoughts. So, the knock-on effects last the entire game. So at one point in the game, I hadn't eaten for a while, and my stomach, my hunger, was talking to me and persuaded me to become a fascist, because that way I could get more food. And so, and I was trying to fight against that thought in my head. But my resolve was too weak, so I had to give in. So I accidentally became a fascist. And then every time I was talking, my stomach was going, "Oh, he would say that, though, wouldn't he?" And then you've got all this inner turmoil, but no one on the outside can see it. So you can be a really bad person on the inside, and you can think bad things, but no one necessarily sees that. So I was still getting treated really nicely when my stomach or brain was saying, "Kill them, eat them, kill them, eat them," sort of thing. So that's a really good game, because the knock-on effects are only within your own head, really, until you accidentally slip something out. You accidentally say the wrong thing, which I guess is exactly what it's like to be, like that in real life, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So many people are nice on the surface and inside they're bad. They might accidentally slip something out, and then it affects how the world perceives them. So that's really, really interesting, and one of the best examples of it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I still need to play Disco Elysium, because I hear nothing but great things about it. But Cyberpunk is the way I played it was very I agreed with Johnny in principle, but I didn't agree with how he was going about making his points, because he is he's pretty much a terrorist in the game. Goes around blowing up buildings and everything, and you learn that about him. But yeah, so I agree with his principle, but not necessarily how he executes it. And I was reflecting that in my dialogue choices and everything. But by the end of the game, at my ending, he was my best friend, and he wanted to do anything he could to help me. And he'd literally do anything in his power to make sure I survived and everything. But even though in my dialogue choices, I was like, "Fuck you, you're an insane idiot. Why should I listen to you? You're literally, you want to kill innocent people just to, prove a point and stuff like that." But by the end of the game, he was like, "Oh, you're my best friend, V." And he, wanted to, go for a beer or something. And it's
kind of weird that this is the same, dialogue choices and this is that as the people that made The Witcher. It just seems like
The Witcher isn't. The difference is you're playing a character, aren't you? You're playing as Geralt. So if the options
edgy or silence
again, exactly what you said. Arsehole or silence. You're playing as Geralt, so he's already who he is, and you can adjust it a little bit as you're going, but.
That's all it takes. But if the game promised you could be any type of Witcher you wanted, you might want to be a really friendly.
I think Cyberpunk definitely would have been better served if they just said you're playing as a character instead of trying to make it be who you want to be, because it really doesn't have the mechanics in the game to support that sort of thing.
The approach to dialogue has to be totally different, doesn't it? And I know going back to the same point, but just beginning by giving you a voice, which is the same. You have two voices which follow the lines of gender. Do you want to sound like a man or do you want to sound like a woman? And then that's it. That's your control over the voice, which obviously is really difficult to record. Thousands of hours of dialogue. So don't do that. That's how games like Skyrim and whatever, and the Bethesda type ones, and Divinity and those, you don't have a voice because there's so many lines of dialogue that you can choose and so many branches you can go down. It would just be ridiculous to kind of,
It's a shame that they missed the mark on that, because for somebody I love CRPGs. I love RPGs based on tabletop stuff. I've always loved them, and then in the 90s there was Neverwinter Nights and Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And then BioWare took that with Knights of the Old Republic, and then Mass Effect, and then Dragon Age.
Protagonist again.
Yeah, and they nailed it, and they put it into this kind of action RPG setting. And then where CRPGs became dormant, but then there's been a bit of a resurgence where you've seen Pillars of Eternity and Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. Now there's Baldur's Gate 3 and Disco Elysium. These are all critically acclaimed games, and
they all have silent protagonists, apart from Mass Effect, in which case you're playing as somebody called Commander Shepard.
Exactly.
Whether you like it or not.
There's so many games there that you could use as reference for how to do it properly. And they're not even underground. Maybe Disco Elysium and Divinity Original Sin 1. But Mass Effect and Dragon Age, why weren't they taking notes on some of these games. Like, that's the thing. It just seems a bit insulting.
They were taking notes from their own game, which is The Witcher.
That's exactly it. To adapt a tabletop RPG when they should have been taking it from the most critically lauded RPGs of the last decade have been CRPGs factually. So it's just like,
or even Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That did it well. That was a first-person adaptation of a tabletop RPG that still had all this like amazing freedom for how you wanted to build your character and play.
I hope that's good. I really hope that. I said last year I reckon it'll be better than Cyberpunk. So all it needs to do now is be 7 out of 10, and there we go. I feel good inside.
We need a good immersive sim type game again, because Cyberpunk certainly wasn't that. But
also there's that amazing feel there of like you kind of get to be who you want, but you realize that you are a vampire, so you do need to kill and eat and so. So it does force your hand a little bit, so you can't be a completely vegetarian vampire. Do you know what I mean? You are going to have to get to grips with the fact that you need to kill and feed and stuff. So,
and that makes sense being edgy, because all vampires are edgy goths. So
exactly that. Yeah, exactly. So come on, Cyberpunk.
I'm rooting for Vampire. I hope it's good.
Yeah, same. So thanks to James.
York
classic.
Old York, yeah. All right, we'll do one more. We'll do one more before we do the new games. This one is from Josh in Bordeaux in France. Nice. Josh says, "Dear Special Moves, long-time Patreon here. I've been following you guys for ages. After seeing it crop up several times on Digital Foundry videos, I finally gave Ori and the Will of the Wisps a try. These types of platformers never appealed to me, and I fully expected to drop it after a couple of hours. 20 plus hours later, and it's one of the only games in my life that I have 100%ed. What an absolute masterpiece. The fidelity and art style is jaw-dropping, the music is stirring, the story is simple, yet with some truly emotional parts. Perhaps best of all is the action design. The abilities you acquire are so creative, and the way each one opens up new exploration possibilities reminded me of the Zelda Breath of the Wild. I could talk about this game for days, but the reason for my email is that after finishing the game, it's left a void that needs to be filled. Aside from the genre namesakes, can you recommend any other Metroidvania games that come close to the quality of the Ori series?
There can only be one, can't there?
Take care, guys. Josh in Bordeaux. Thanks, Josh. Good email. I've not played Ori. I kind of tried it a bit, and I
played the first one and liked it, but I've had this new one installed on my computer for ever since it came out, which was a year ago, and I've still not even touched it.
No, it's exactly the same. Did the first one, but I didn't play the second one. But I know what the answer is. There's only one thing that I listed could even match up, right? And it's Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
it's got to be Hollow Knight. Every single thing there, music, the design, the weird transformative abilities that always make you, it's like a perfect mix of, well, of course, and that's really fucking cool. That changes up how you explore the world. The Metroidvania thing, the way that it's got a really simple story. It's almost like a Dark Souls game, but a little bit more. It's got this whole package. Definitely do Hollow Knight. If you've got a Game Pass, it's on there. And in anticipation of Hollow Knight Silk Song, which is out this year, which is, it's going to be good. It's fucking great, Hollow Knight. It's really, really, really good.
It's like 11 quid on the Switch as well, if you want to play it on the Switch.
It's good, and it plays well on Switch, and it's the controls aren't too fiddly, but I'm assuming that you played that on Xbox and get it on there, because the version with all the DLC is just on Game Pass, and I think it's on Game Pass for PC as well. But other than that, any other Metroidvania as well?
If you want a bit more of a happy one, Guacamelee is good. If you've not played that, the Mexican luchador wrestling inspired one, that's very fun. I'm trying to think of ones that aren't the namesakes, because I would just say Symphony of the Night just all the time. But
the classics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, just Dark Souls 1. It's a really good Metroidvania.
Yeah, it is.
To be honest, the others aren't really Metroidvanias, because the world is kind of like, you're in a Nexus and then you go out.
Bloodstained. How can I forget that? I know it's basically Castlevania and all but name, but it's really, really good at what it does.
Yeah, it's
just don't play it on Switch recently. Though. Yeah, it's still a mess on Switch.
So there's some I think, but I think Hollow Knight is definitely the closest in
Yeah.
all of the ways. Yeah,
If you don't
Quite
mind a
long.
bit of,
yeah, it is long, about 30 hours.
yeah.
About the same length as Dark Souls, really. I would say.
Right, let's do the new games then. Thanks everyone for sending in the emails. The address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com if you've got anything else that you want to send in. They were good emails this week. They were good.
They were.
There's a lot in there. There's in the inbox still that we haven't even looked at. Well, I've read them, but we haven't read them out. But keep them coming in because it does help us put the podcast together. Right, new releases for this week. I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for a while. The first big game on the list, Hitman 3, is out on Wednesday.
Oh, it is Wednesday.
Yeah, the 20th. January the 20th. Hitman 3 is going to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Google Stadia.
Yes.
It's also coming to Nintendo Switch.
With
Is it really?
Cloud streaming app.
It's coming to Nintendo Switch.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know,
cloud streaming.
did you see how they put Control on the Switch? That was the same, where, you download an app, and then you have to, buy the game within the app, and then it just streams it to your Switch.
Your Stadia to your Switch.
Yeah, it's
but not the
Stadia.
That is not how things need to be handled going forward, is it, Nintendo? Don't be doing literal fucking it's like wine reskin when you're trying to get Windows programs working on your Mac. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to have some games streaming, do you? God, that's shite. That's not good.
Apparently,
Get it on stage here.
it's a big thing in Japan. Apparently, having streaming versions on the Switch.
Well, I just think of somebody, who lives in a rural area. Maybe they live in classic York, just outside, in a nice area, yeah. And then they fucking they got bad internet, and they buy the game. They don't know any fucking different, do they? They just buy Control because they heard it's good, and then it just says this is cloud streaming. You just think, what the fuck does that mean?
They don't know any different. They live in a rural area.
No, I mean, they might not know I don't know what cloud streaming is.
The way I think it works on the Switch, anyway, with Control, this is it's a free-to-play app on the eShop. You download it, it gives you a 30-minute trial. I think it does disclaim that this is a streamed over the internet version, and then at the end of the trial it says 35 quid if you want to carry on.
You know, I've been playing Hitman 3 and I can't talk about it till next week, right? But what I'll say is something that is in all of the Hitman series is that they've got pretty famously tiny font to explain what's going on. It's great on a big telly, cinematic, brilliant. On a Nintendo Switch streamed on the internet,
That's
don't know about that one.
A good point. That is a good point. Yeah, the UI. That's a crucial point. Yeah, the UI on a lot of these, like The Witcher 3 and things getting ported over. The UI suffers no matter what they do to it because it's designed for a big screen experience or a PC experience.
Exactly. So you can increase subtitle sizes on the Hitman trilogy, but you still got this tiny little font that says "Pick up screwdriver." And that doesn't change, I don't think, when you change the subtitles. So, but because
the screen is so small, it's like pick up screwdriver, and you'd be like, I can't see the fucking screwdriver because the words pick up screwdriver are obscuring everything else on the screen.
Exactly. But,
I don't like playing. I tried playing Final Fantasy VII on the Switch, and just you could tell it obviously isn't designed for a screen that small. Even though it was originally designed for a 12-inch CRT telly. But,
it was essentially designed for a telly that's probably about this big in your
it's just whenever I play Final Fantasy VII on Switch, I have to turn on the little arrow indicator saying here's the exits. Here's the next room.
The little red glowing arrow things.
Just because otherwise, it's just it strains my eyes. I don't know why. It's only Final Fantasy VII though. Final Fantasy 8 and 9 on the Switch are fine.
Yeah, I guess I know what you mean. I'm playing Final Fantasy VII on the Switch right now, and it's good. And I'll try that because I have been. There are bits where I've where the fuck am I meant to go now? Because I'm just running up against the walls and shit. And I don't know.
Yeah, there's no shame in using little arrows at Ace. But
playing the PS1 original, still the best version, and that's not even a joke.
PS2. In my house, so maybe I will do that.
So Hitman 3 fucking can't next week. The Hitman 3 special.
I have been playing Hitman 2 again, recently, and really, really enjoying it. And I'm gonna, it's one of them that's great to keep on your console or your system. Just keep it on there because it's a great game to dip in and out of and just mess around, and even if you know the levels, know them well, it always kind of feels new. There's something that they've really figured out well is how to make replaying things feel fresh by just putting you, just starting you off in a different place, or giving you different tools to use, or a different kind of story to follow. That's what the whole game is built around, is just discovering the little different details in the level, and it's really good. So I can't wait for Hitman 3. And then Ride 4, the motorbike racing game, is getting its next-gen version on PS5 and Xbox Series X on the 21st, which is Thursday. So that's cool. And Skull the Hero Slayer is out on PC the same day. So this is the kind of full release, I guess, of a game that's been in early access since last year. It looks all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, we had a little look actually just before we came on, and the trailer caught my eye. Actually, it's got a bit of Dead Cells, a bit of almost like Shovel Knight to the designs. So it looks like it's weird because it's advertised as like a 2D platformer hack and slash, but then on Steam, which by the way the reviews are great, like 7,000, nearly 8,000 reviews. It's a 9 out of 10. It's a cheap game as well, 15 quid, like $19.99 in dollars. And it looks really interesting. And I love, this is the one time where it does help that the game's been in early access for so long, because you're getting a version that the players have helped beat into shape. Stuff like Hades, is as good as it was because of the early access. So when you see a game like this that comes out looking as polished as this, it can't help but catch your eye, I think.
It's a healthy early access, isn't it? It's like 12 and it was probably in a decent state when it came out initially. And
the crucial thing, in my opinion, is the scope of it. Look at it. It's not like, we're adding hunger meters and it's going to be 24/7. It's not like what's that game that's popular again at the moment, Rust and that, and all them raft and all this scope. This huge infinite world where you can build huts and dinosaurs knock them down. This is literally some 2D shit going around. You play as like a skeleton. Yeah. But then whatever skull you put on turns you into a different type of skeleton.
Are you telling me there aren't spaceships in this that cost $7,500?
Well, you never know. you never know. But it says roguelite in the old Steam description, which I don't know. That's interesting to me, but it doesn't say that in the official description. So is it a roguelike or not?
Who knows?
What are you doing to me?
Because it has got a bit of a Dead Cells looking vibe to it.
Yes. So
sorry, Mike, I cut you off then.
I think he's telling me to buy it. I think he was telling me to find out.
I wasn't saying anything good, don't worry. So should we do Bladed Fury next, which is out on the Friday on Switch, PS4 and Xbox One. Again, a kind of side-scrolly thing.
Bladed Fury.
Yeah.
Doesn't
January,
sound...
the month for side-scrollers, apparently.
Yeah, published by Next Studios. And this is also a cheap game on Steam. Like $10, which is very cheap, and it's got 9 out of 10. But the graphical style is just, it's set in ancient China, and it's got traditional art style. So there we go, Blade of Fury, the traditional Chinese hack and slash from Next Studios.
Yeah. So
is that a lot?
Thanks. That's it. Yeah. 4 games. Hitman 3, big one. Been looking forward to that for a while. I reckon Hitman 3 would have been, correct me if I'm wrong, would have been would have been the first on the, new games coming out in 2021 types of lists from fucking
100% the first big game that's coming out, for sure. Yeah.
No competition either.
No. No offense to Ride 4. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, remember to leave a comment and like, and email us at dearspecialmoves@gmail.com if you've got anything to say. Please give us your Star Wars video game ideas down in the comments.
Because we get all of the developers watch our podcast. All of them.
Yeah, well known. I mean, if you're watching this and you're not a developer, you're probably the only one. Do you know what I mean? Everyone else, like you see, there's like 1,500 might have watched it.
300 of them are Randy Pitchford. Do you know what I mean?
He loves us. Well documented. So we'll see you next week with some Hitman 3 thoughts.
Yeah. Let's get it. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.